Parker, where are you going? No, you need to be in the video.
One-foot-flipper.
Hi, Paige here, the One-Foot Flipper. How you doing? How was your 2024? Did you do anything on New Year's Eve? It actually is New Year's Eve right now as I'm recording this, but it's going to be several days in the new year before you see it, so let's just act like it already is New Year. Any of you do anything embarrassing on New Year's Eve? I haven't done anything embarrassing on New Year's Eve in a long time. I think I remember the last time an embarrassing New Year's Eve. I remember waking up the next morning and saying, "I'm sorry I kissed your girlfriend, AJ." And that was my last embarrassing New Year's Eve, and that was at least 20 years ago. Haven't had one since. All right, so it's a new year, so time for some new plans. I am hoping to actually get a functional, non-broken prosthetic leg this year. If any of you have been following this, I talked about it off and on. I am almost up to one solid year of getting factory defect after factory defect of prosthetic legs. My prosthesist has finally given up on the Autobach model that I was using and is going to get me something from a different company entirely, because it seems like that they've just messed up every single one in that model, and my weight is just factory defective for some reason. So we're going to try a different one. I will actually already have that loaner one on by the time this comes out, but once again, I'm recording a bit in advance, so hopefully you can see how that's working in the next video. Now, being able to walk properly again, really going to be a game changer. Right now, I can walk a little bit. You know, I can make it out to the car. I can make it from the parking lot of the store to the handicapped person cart inside. I can make it into the Quick Trip to get a pizza slice and a soda. A little wobbly on my way out, though, because of my incorrectly working leg, but not walking a lot is not good for my health or for my weight. I have definitely slipped up in weight in the last year because I haven't been able to walk properly, and it's pretty hard to get exercise in a wheelchair. Those of you who are in one should know that. I don't need any suggestions down in the comments. You don't need to give me any suggestions for it. I'd like to just get that leg and start walking again on a regular basis. You know, actually walk the Goodwill bins instead of using a wheelchair and pushing the cart in front of me. Although I do stand out more when I do that. I get recognized a lot now as the One-Foot Flipper, my local bins. Probably because I am indeed in that wheelchair with only one leg, pushing the other one, pushing my cart with the other one. You know, what I'd love to do this year is to take my family on some sort of vacation. Even if it's just me going to a Reseller event and Julie and Amanda going to Disney instead. In fact, Carrie and Dave, if you're watching this, could you possibly schedule something for me to go to hang out with you guys, and maybe my wife and Julie could go to Disney with Dave with your wife and kids, and maybe Dawn would go. I don't know. That would just be wonderful, because I would suck all of the fun out of Disney if I went. I'd have to be pushed around the entire time. I mean, I know you get in the line shorter when you got somebody with a wheelchair, but no, I would suck all the fun out of it. But I really would like my daughter to experience that at some point before, well, while she'd still like it, I guess. Speaking of family, really need to finish pushing my family into turning our finished attic back into a living room again. Because this room I'm in now should be our living room, but it's not. Instead, we don't have one. They just tend to watch TV in the bedrooms or in the kitchen. And the attic is a half living room, half leftover toy room from when my daughter was 7, and half bulk storage. I feel like it needs to either be a living room again or go into full storage, so at least the rest of our house isn't piled up with too much stuff, because this house has like no closets. It's a pre-war house, or at least a pre-war design, and there's only one closet in the entire house. At least one original closet. That's in my bedroom. Julie's room has a wardrobe sticking out of the wall, and they kind of made a half closet in the finished attic, but that wasn't part of the original design. Now, as far as reselling, I want to stop buying junk. I want to stop buying large, low-value items, kind of thing that takes up a lot of space on my shelf and then ends up being difficult to ship because I'm scrambling for a box, and thus this item that would take me 5 minutes or 3 minutes to ship if I had the right box ends up taking 20 minutes, and I only sold it for $8 in the first place. And I really need to get a better system for keeping larger boxes in the first place, because lately I've really been scrambling for them lately. Every time something big sells, I'm trying to Frankenbox something, because I used to keep a whole bunch of extra boxes in my downstairs bathroom. Basically the whole bathroom was full of boxes, but I cleared it out. But now I don't have any big boxes for when I need them. I need to figure that out in some way, in some manner. Also, this year, if everything works out right, I should be cross-listing for my first time ever. I've been contacted by a sponsor who wants me to try to use their cross-listing software, and I said I wanted to, if I'm going to do it, I need to do it, full out for a full year. I need to have full features because I need to be able to list all my things, and I want to be able to do it for a full year so I can properly report on that, and it looks like that's going to be happening, and I'll have details on that when it's finally hashed out. So that'll be cool. See if I was wrong about my initial ideas about cross-listing. I could be wrong. I have been wrong. Now, I do want to keep both of my eBay stores basically fully maxed out in their listings, which is where they're at right now. I keep 11,000 listings in my card store, it's my long tail store at all times. Every few days I check and see how many I am under 11,000, and I make that many listings. And then towards the end of the month, I double check to make sure I don't accidentally go over in listings. I'll either make a few to get it to right to the exact amount, or I'll end a few and then relaunch them out after the month goes so I don't pay for any extra listings. And now my main eBay account is basically maxed out on listings. I can really only increase in the categories of select categories, the movie, music, collectibles, those areas. And I really don't have a lot more space unless I get compact collectibles. So that's what I'd really like to, find a lot of. In fact, I'd like to build up a huge backlog of small, compact items that will hold value so I'm never scrambling for anything to list. I mean, I don't need to make any specific amount of money, so I don't really care if I spend an extra $10,000 buying stuff next year that I don't really get around to listing right away, as long as it's good stuff that's still going to be good the next year. I wouldn't put $10,000 of extra, wouldn't go buying $10,000 worth of media to sit on for a year, but I'd buy Warhammer figures and sit on them for a year for $10,000 worth easily. Or even Nintendo cartridges, one of the few areas that I'm not so bearish on when it comes to media, original Nintendo. Good stuff. People keep buying that. In fact, I need to find some entire collections to purchase. Most of my first couple of years on eBay, in which I did best, were spurred on not only by that COVID money, but by me purchasing people's entire large collections, dropping thousands at a time, and just getting an insane amount of great merchandise. And I have not had a buy like that since year 2. And really hoping another one will come along soon. I don't know how to make one come along, really. If you got any suggestions for that, go ahead and put it in the comments. I've tried, running a few Facebook posts here and there, but that ends up being a complete time drain, as I just get contacted by people after people who don't have that much to sell in the first place, and they want too much for it. Or who want full eBay value, or have a massive collection but want full eBay value for it. And, obviously I can't do that now, can I? So that time sink ends up making me nothing. Now, as far as my YouTube channel, I want to continue pushing really hard. I was stalled out for the longest time, but when I started pushing hard again, when I started doing 3 full videos a week at a LinkedIn release schedule that, after I talked to a bunch of people who are better at this than I am, said are right for this niche, and also doing 3 shorts a day, my subscriber numbers just started climbing again, and they've kept climbing ever since I've kept up that schedule. My 2025 subscriber goal is 30,000 subscribers. And my stretch subscriber goal is to pass ADH Dave up on his Flipper channel. Which, maybe I could do that. I don't know. I realistically could never get near his picker or cooking channel numbers, but his Flipper channel is only at 29,000. If I kept up this sort of growth, I can definitely get to that number. It's, will he will he also have massive growth next year? That's the thing, and that's what I don't know. I mean, obviously I wish him the best. I wish he actually does have massive growth next year. I wish good things for all of my friends, whether they are real or YouTube or both. Hey, so do you have a Facebook group or whether that you're a member of, or maybe it's just a good group of friends on Facebook that you bounce ideas off of, or ask for opinions? I think that everybody could use this sort of research. I have both my own Facebook group, Garage Sale Treasure Hunters, which is an incredible group because it doesn't suffer from what all the large groups suffer from. All the large groups suffer from the fact that the people who don't know who have no idea what they're doing or talking about far outnumber the experts in the group, and my group simply isn't that way at all. My group has a high percentage of experts who know what they're doing. So if you put a question in my group, you're not going to get 47 answers like you might in another group, but you're not going to have to sift out the 46 answers that are wrong in my group either. And you should also maybe get a little, whether it's a text message group or just a Facebook chat group of some other sellers who you can ask questions and bounce ideas off of on a regular basis. I know I have mine. I didn't create it. I was invited into it. I'm not even sure who started the group, but I think everybody needs to have something like that because that can be invaluable when it comes to reselling. So let me ask you all about something. I actually got my daughter to go out with me to the bins once over Christmas break because my wife took a bunch of vacation days. And my wife also added these really dirty white Converse to our cart. Was this a mistake? Are these going to clean up? If I soak these in OxyClean for a day, would they just turn white again? I don't know. I don't normally buy shoes or do shoes or really think much about shoes for various reasons. And I would just love to know your opinions about it. Maybe she'll be happy if she's right, though, because I think these shoes were a mistake. Some other things I'd really like to get in place in 2025 is a better storage system for posters, because I've got a ton of them. And right now, they're just kind of all jammed in the same area, and it can take quite a long time to find them, or sometimes I seem to find them instantly, but I need a better system than what I have right now. And I also need to come up, since I sell a lot more hats now, I need to come up with a better overall system for hats because I don't really like shoving them into the same bins that I use for everything. I've seen people who have hats stuffed into specific priority boxes, but I don't seem to have any of those boxes. What size box is that for any of you who do that? Because I don't know. I feel like I used to have that box, but I don't seem to have it now. Honestly, I should get rid of every priority box that I have. How many priority boxes did you use in the second half of 2024? I used 0. Did not use the priority mail service one time in the second half of 2024. And I still have hundreds of priority boxes in my laundry room. Guess at some point I'm going to have to get my wife or my daughter to carry those upstairs so I can dispose of them in one way or another. Because I'm just probably never going to use them at this point. And I held on to them long enough to see if maybe somehow priority would change back to being what the most economical service in some situations, but it just hasn't. Are there any other things you think changed majorly last year in reselling? I think for me it was just the biggest single change was that priority mail is no more a thing. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Ground Advantage is basically always cheaper than priority, like all the time. Just about no matter what you're doing, it ends up being cheaper. I haven't seen it be more expensive one time since I started moving everything to Ground Advantage. And the items seem to show up about the same time frame. It's not like it's taken 5 times as long for these Ground Advantage packages to show up. They're still showing up, just like priority, 2-3 days most of the time. Sometimes sooner, sometimes a little more, but they're still getting there. As far as monetary goals for 2025, I can't say that I really have any. As long as I can afford to max out my wife's individual IRA contribution and max out mine and keep everything else paid, then I'm happy. If anything, I would like to just get enough extra money to get my mini truck fixed so I could actually drive it. This thing that I got right here, I had one of those when I was a teenager, you know, my late teens to about 20 years old. And then when I lost a leg, for some reason, I laid in bed and dreamed about that thing for 3 months. And I finally found another one of them that had an automatic transmission. And I brought it home, and it immediately started having problems. And it leaks gas and doesn't run right now. And a real mechanic who can actually lean over the hood without being in horrific pain for, you know, lean over that hood for more than a minute and a half without being horrific pain, needs to look at it. I could probably fix it myself if it wasn't for my trouble leaning over the hood. Maybe I need to get one of those hoists like in The Road Warrior. Remember the mechanic in that movie was either, I don't know if he was missing legs or crippled or paraplegic or what, but they had him on a hoist so they could just move him around while he repaired the vehicles. At least I hope he was already that way. I hope they didn't cripple him so he couldn't run away. It was kind of a creepy, scary world. I don't know. But I'd really love to get that thing back on the road and just have it not just be sitting there under my back carport, never being used. Because I would indeed like to use it. Oh, and I'm going to have to come up with enough money to replace my wife's car this year. I think it just turned over $300,000, and although we're going to renew the plates this month, I can't imagine it. If it makes it through this year, I can't imagine it making it through next year. Or maybe it will, I don't know, but I need to have the money put aside to replace it when it does. Finally, go poof. And with those, usually she's got a Toyota Matrix automatic transmission. With those, the transmissions usually give out before the engines do, so that's what I would expect to go first on it. Hey, thanks for making it to the complete end of a completely rambling, unfocused, bad one-foot flipper nonsense video that I didn't even do any research on whatsoever. I promise I will get back to having some research videos and having some actual sales in the videos next week. But until then, if you know anybody else who doesn't do any research, why don't you tell them about this channel? I could use the subs. Thanks, and I hope to see you again real soon.
See, that's one-foot flipper's nonsense video.
So now that it's just us, gotta ask you something. Would it be hypocritical of me if I was to sometimes sell hats live on Dibdit? I'm generally speak out against live sales in general because I think you get less money for your product, you make less money for your time, and if you start focusing on it, it can tank your YouTube channel. But what if I did sell hats once a week on Dibdit, and I didn't really talk about it on my channel or anything else, didn't make it any sort of focus? Would that be so terrible or not? Let me know in the comments.